Hey everybody, good Friday morning, top of the morning to you. I'm not setting up my little microphone this morning and setting at my dining room table. I'm just piled up here on the sofa with Boom Boom and Gracie looking out my living room window. It's just going to be beautiful this weekend here in Atlanta. The next 2 weeks actually just spring-like weather. But anyhow, let's do the morning post this morning. Scandal after scandal. Jeffrey Epstein. That's all we're going to hear on the news for the next couple of weeks is Jeffrey Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein. Child sex trafficking, child molesters, having sex with underage girls, um, all that stuff. Just, it's a cesspool, y'all. The whole Washington, D.C., they're talking about a swamp. It is the cesspool, the White House itself. But anyhow, I digress. Let's do the morning post. Scandal after scandal, Jeffrey Epstein. We're back to having spring-like weather here in Atlanta. Later today, I will soak outside in my garden tub, enjoying the weekend ahead of spring-like weather. Atlanta has to be the best place in the world for weather. We just have such beautiful weather here in the city of Atlanta. The scandal with Jimmy Carter was he admitted that sometimes he committed adultery in his heart. Oh, that was a scandal back then. How could he? He's claimed to be a born-again Christian, and now he's saying he commits adultery in his heart. With Reagan, it was Iran-Contra. Before Carter, Gerald Ford, that big scandal, was in a debate. He said that Poland was not under Soviet domination. That was his big scandal. The Zoom call with the New York producers yesterday was a lot about the security of the trans people involved in the series, which should be coming out sometime after the first of the year. And also about Ava becoming more involved, of sitting in on meetings with them and about contracts and distribution. There's a lot of stuff in that whole getting from point A to point B. They have, as of now, over 40 hours of content with a couple more shootings in LA next week to wrap things up. They had mentioned that they were thinking about, after this, to do a series of just older trans people in their mundane lives, just doing mundane things. I thought the documentary with Will Ferrell, with his older trans friend, the writer from Saturday Night Live, was one of the most powerful things I had seen in years. George H.W. Bush's big scandal was his promise of, read my lips, no new taxes. Bill Clinton's was, I did not have sex with that woman. They asked me how I dealt with all of the negative stuff online, people coming after you. I said, well, I just reached a point of saying, fuck them. I said, I know that's not the answer for y'all in this case, but that worked for me during the campaign. I said, I have come to realize that the advice from my Granny Bratcher years ago, that you can't make peace with the devil, is true. So I just reached the point of saying, fuck them. And I came to realize that's still pretty good advice for a lot of things we go through in life. Fuck them. Not much different from the best-selling Mel Robbins book, Let Them. Mine is just more of a Cabbagetown version of that. Fuck them. George W. Bush's big scandal was Katrina and the weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist, that him and General Colin Powell went before the UN and said they did, had evidence of it. They didn't. That was their big scandal. The big scandal with President Obama, he wore a tan suit. That's what they hung around him. He wore a tan suit. The team we hung out with in New York are such sweet people. While doing the Zoom, 2 of them live in Portland. 1 lives in New York. When you spend a day with people where you are all just being vulnerable around each other, it is odd how close you can feel to them after such a short time. I could see where people on movie sets kind of bond deeply. And then Biden's big scandal was his son, Brandon, or whatever, supposedly was getting money from China. The first Trump term It was scandal after scandal after scandal for the whole 4 years. And now, after 1 year in, the second term, it is scandal after scandal. Just think, the Baptists have elected a child molester for president. And just think, they are still proud of it. The good news, and I know this may be wishful thinking just on my part, but there are reports that are flooding out now that the dam is breaking in Congress. And many Republicans are going to go against Trump and vote to release the files, the Jeffrey Epstein files. But the bigger question to me, why did the conservative right, the MAGA crowd, so desperately need to drag the country through this cesspool of child sex trafficking scandals? Surely we could have been focusing on other things. And why do they think, and why do they not think that it is disturbing that Trump wants so badly to protect Jeffrey Epstein, and he is going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell? Think about that. These holy roller people that voted for him. What a cesspool. Unless we forget, these are the same people who were so outraged about those goddamn Hillary emails. Y'all, you couldn't make this shit up. A brilliant writer couldn't sit down and even concoct this kind of stuff. It's unbelievable. Good Friday morning, sweet people. It is the weekend. We are alive. It is spring-like today in Atlanta, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. That Obama, good heavens, President Obama, if you hadn't worn that tan suit, you would have been scandal-free. The pictures over on my Facebook page. Good morning, everybody. Love y'all. The pictures, the film crew on the Zoom yesterday evening at 5 o'clock when we met, and a silhouette picture of the one and only, the renowned, the world-renowned Ava Davis, standing in the dining room getting ready for work today. Let's have a good weekend. Love y'all.